Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast, podcast number 206. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, February the 6th, from the James Strong studio in western St. Charles County. My guest via the long lines is Kieran Gutting. He's the principal in Planning with Kieran, an investment company, and we're going to talk about the economy pre, during, and post-COVID. Kieran, welcome to the show.
Good morning, James.
And actually, you're not home. You're up in north of here, correct?
I am in the frozen tundra that is the Milwaukee, Wisconsin metro area, where it's a beautiful, balmy high today, I believe, of 9.
Ouch. Well, I think it's going to get into the 20s here, but then the hammer's going to fall earlier this week. And here in Missouri, it's going to be, I don't know, maybe I think Wednesday or Thursday, the high is going to be 7. Up there, it's going to be unbelievable cold. It has to be. So hopefully you'll be home by then.
I will. Just up here for my activity with one of my daughters, and just here for the weekend.
Excellent. Well, thanks for taking time out and doing the show. I wanted to talk about the state of the union, I guess, the state of our country, the state of how things are, the way things were pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and as this thing peaks and begins to wane and hopefully continue to wane as we continue to social distance, we get the vaccines, the virus peters out, things are going to change. But as we talked before we went on the air, it really didn't matter if we had a pandemic or not, but things were going to change, weren't they?
Things were definitely going to change partly because things always change. And we're changing as a society. We are more tech-based, the way we view employment, the way employers view us, the way we make money, what's acceptable, what's not, meaning, if you roll back to 1970, the way to get a job was to go to work for the gas company, a big manufacturing company, and go in there and work for every day for 30 or 40 years. And that was considered right. And if you veered off that path, that was considered, not so good. But now we know people change jobs routinely every 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So if you meet somebody with 10 years on the job, you've been there a long time.
That's true.
Where that used to be, oh, you're there 10 years, you're solid, you're in, that's great. You got another 20 or 30 to go.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, way back a long time ago, when I first started in the machine shop business, I started with a fairly big company, and the goal was always to get to what they call the special products department or the tool and die department. That's where you could really practice your trade. It was a great job, great work, and usually you had to put your 20 years in the production shop first, and then you got an opportunity to go over to that part of the building. So you put your 20 years in, that was just paying your dues. And then if you did a good job, paid your dues, you might get to go work over where everybody wanted to work. Nowadays, it's rare for somebody to be at a job 20 years, much less pay their dues for 20 years. I mean, people don't want to pay their dues for 20 days, much less 20 years anymore.
Yeah, I would say that is correct. Yes,
and that's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just the way people are.
And we're a more mobile society. We have more options. You have in most families, the husband and the wife are both working. So maybe you're working here in the Midwest, and you're on this path. But maybe your spouse gets this fantastic opportunity in Phoenix, and you look at it and you move. Well, you were a 14-year employee. Now you're going to be a brand new employee somewhere. And so there's more variables in it also.
Well, and take that one step further. Your spouse gets an opportunity to work for a company in Phoenix, but she works for the home, but she works in her home office. So she doesn't change. Okay.
That's right.
That's right. That's the other thing. In your business, you work with investments and you help people to plan their investment futures. that business has changed. I mean, the whole investing game has changed. And I'll tell you from personal experience, once upon a time, if you're going to look at a stock, I was always taught, look at the price to earnings ratio.
Yeah.
And if it's above 13 to 15, that's too high. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
Look at all the
You're
good
over 30.
Yeah, exactly. Is exactly right. Yeah. If your price to, it used to be, if your price to earnings ratio was 30, you run and run very fast from that investment.
That's right.
It's not that way anymore.
Now no, not right now. The S&P 500 is valued. I haven't looked in a couple days, but in the low 30s. It's crazy high valuations just out the window.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And what did the market do this week? Every day, what did it do this week?
Market had a good week.
Yeah,
markets had good weeks. You're at all-time highs on the Dow. You're at all-time highs on the S&P. You're at all-time high on the NASDAQ. Companies are making money, but the valuation, the way we've traditionally valued stocks, is way off the charts, and you're still at 5,000-year lows on interest rates.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors in there, but yeah, it's just another reflection strong on what we've known to be true. It isn't what's reality right now.
Because once again, things have just changed.
Things have changed.
And I asked somebody one time, well, why do people continue to buy stocks when by all indicators, all the traditional indicators anyway, they're all overvalued? And the answer I got was because there's no place else to make money.
That's right.
Once upon a time, you just put your money, you put it into Community Federal in a passbook, and you got 5%.
That's right. Well, and even for the people that still like investment, I could say to somebody, well, you're X amount of years old, you're 60, you're 65, you're 70. Let's de-risk. People were generally good with that. And let's buy some bonds. There's an offering out here from Caterpillar or IBM or Ford Motor or somebody. And you know what? They're going to pay you 4.5%, 5%. But they won't anymore. They don't pay that. So what the person we were talking with is there's an acronym out there called TINA. There is no alternative. And that's why people keep plowing money into stocks. And I say there's TINA because of tiny. There is no alternative because there is no yield and there's no return.
Yeah.
So, if you worked for McDonnell Douglas or Ford Motor Company or something like that, and you took your retirement and you said, I don't want any risk, and you took it down to the bank, credit union, and you're right, you put it in a CD, and you might do some on a shorter term for 3 years and do some for 5 years that got you 5, 6, 7%. And I'm not going back to the crazy time of 40 years ago where those paid you 12%.
Right.
But you used to be able to do that, and you incurred essentially what we call risk-free. It's a CD, but you can't do that. A 2-year CD now won't even pay you 1%.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's wild. It's bizarre. But again, that's just how things have changed. Manufacturing, because everybody knows we don't build anything in this country anymore. And I've worked in manufacturing since I was 18 years old. And I'm here to tell you that all the manufacturers that I know, they're all extremely busy and cannot find people to work for them.
I have a neighbor down the street, and Bill's about 60, and he is a contractor. He's, generally a 1 to 3 man show. He's not a big construction, but if you want your kitchen redone, your bathroom redone, you want to finish out the basement, Bill's your guy.
Yeah.
And he has never been busier. He has turned down work, and partly because he can't get enough people to swing hammers, hang drywall, paint, and he's had a problem even getting some people that want to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't have to be great at it. I can help you with this, He told me he turned down a job that was a huge addition on a house, and it was close to where we live. He goes, it would be perfect. He goes, but I can't get to it, and I can't get the help to get me to it.
Well, and that's some of what I wanted to talk about today, Kieran, because I will tell you that I have gone away from looking at traditional media sources as a source of information for multiple reasons. You rarely see me on Facebook anymore. You almost never see me on Twitter. I use it to post and promote my podcast. And I'll comment to some people sometimes, but I don't get into political arguments anymore. I don't listen to news or watch news. I haven't done that for months because I'm not going to say that it's all biased in a conspiracy theory and the people at Fox are all Nazis and the people at CNN are all communists. I don't mean to say that at all. It's just that their job is not to present the news anymore. Their job is to sensationalize and keep you plugged in. And I don't want anything to do with that anymore. But what I keep hearing is this doom and gloom and gloom and doom. And I don't listen to this stuff anymore, but I do read a lot. And I've read several articles. I even jotted down some notes from the LA Times, a tech website called ARS Technica, Bloomberg, CNBC. And the instances that they bring out, and I think they do this more on a written media than on a radio or television media because it's not all sound bites. You actually take time, 5 minutes, to read a whole article. But the LA Times article started talking about, it mentioned a guy in San Diego. His name is David Spatafor, and he owns a company called Blue Ridge Hospitality. This company that he owns, they own 6 restaurants, they own a beach club in San Diego, a dessert shop, and a public market, okay? And with the pandemic, it just devastated his business. Now he's hiring people back. He hired some back over the summer because he got PPP money, but then that ran out. He laid some of them off. He's hiring some of them back. But here's the dirty little secret. He changed with the pandemic, and he's never going to hire some of these people back again. And it's not for the reason that you think. For instance, of all of his 6 restaurants, 2 of them were pizzerias. They were full-service pizza parlors, okay? But with the pandemic, they had to scratch the full service, and they went to a counter service and a pickup because of pandemic restrictions. Well, guess what happened? His profits went through the roof. He's not going to have that as a full service restaurant anymore. It's just going to be counter service and pickup. That's it. So he's never hiring those people back. No more waiters, no more dishwashers, no more busboys. That job is just gone. Okay. Business travel. A lot.
Business travel's changed a lot.
Well, I think you were involved in business travel last week, so you've seen how it's changed. It's coming back, but Kieran, I don't think it's ever going to come back to where it was, ever.
Well, I don't think it will either. Partly because the technology has gotten so good that the Zoom meetings, the FaceTime has gotten good, and people have gotten used to it. If this pandemic had lasted 3 weeks, we'd have gone right back, and people would talk about, oh, remember that 3 weeks that were years ago? Yeah, but that's not it. We've been dealing with this close to a year, and people are doing business, and I think it affects business travel. I think it affects office space, commercial space. I think it will bleed over into even new home construction, because if you're building a new home, you want an extra 100, 150 square foot for a kind of home office, probably, So last week I was out in Arizona in Tucson, and I was there for a conference, not a big conference, about 12 guys. And there was the firm we were at, they're headquartered out there. So there's 12 of us staying at a hotel. And there weren't 20 rooms booked at that hotel.
Yeah.
And I ran into some people there that said, oh, you should have been here 2 or 3 days ago. I think we might have been the only ones here. Maybe there was somebody else. Literally nothing.
Well, and you can tell by the cars in the